Angry waves and even angrier skies after devastating Florida tropical storm Irma hits our area. And I'm Kaitlin Stansell. We're seeing conditions continue to get worse as we head into the evening hours. From Myrtle Beach to Surfside and Garden City, we have team coverage all across our area as Irma's impact continues to intensify. Yeah, certainly a lot of areas across our state feeling the impacts of Irma, from the low country to the Midlands to here in the Grand Strand. And he was talking about some of those unseen dangers, things we might not be aware of until after the storm completely passes. And that's trees down. We've already seen some of that locally, power lines down, and then of course trying to work and get people back into their homes afterwards. Yeah. Today certainly showed the impact of Irma's power, angry waves churning up the beaches. As Irma pelts our area, Jamie is letting us know how much longer this is all going to last. Your first look forecast is next. But I think most of us really feeling fortunate that we didn't get what Florida got from Irma.
That 142 mile per hour gust in Naples, the 10-foot storm surge around Jacksonville. Wow. We're doing pretty good. Yeah.
Many people are breathing a sigh of relief as Irma churns up the coast rather than having a direct impact in our area. The massive storm surge from Irma has left parts of the South Strand underwater. This is what we saw at Garden City earlier today. Meanwhile, the weather continues to intensify. WNBF News is your guide to get you through this storm. We're back right after this. Thanks for joining us for this special report, A State of Crisis, South Carolina's opioid epidemic. I'm Kaitlin Stansell. Tonight, we look at the role doctors have played in creating the problem and the role they have in its solution. More and more research is being done to look at just how effective opioids really are in treating pain. Opioids do have their place in healthcare, though. But we talked to a doctor in our area who detailed why it's sometimes difficult for doctors to suggest alternative methods of treatment for patients. We heard from at least 2 local doctors who said they are fearful for their patients' futures. And a local man shared with me his wife's struggle with this very consequence of the opioid epidemic. From the state level to the federal level, the opioid epidemic has been declared a public health emergency. In South Carolina, over the span of just 3 years, from 2014 to 2016, the number of opioid-related deaths surpassed the number of homicides. And while no single change in the law will fix this issue, legislators in our state house are trying to do what they can. Well, it doesn't matter what field of medicine a doctor specializes in, this epidemic has touched every sector of healthcare. And one local doctor is working on re-educating her fellow prescribers about substance use, treating it as a disease rather than the moral failing of a patient. So what is the solution? How do you help those suffering with addiction and those suffering because they can no longer get the medication they need? As you've heard over the course of the past 30 minutes, no simple answer exists. It's a complex issue, and it's taken about 2 decades to get to where we are in this epidemic today. So it's certainly not something that's going to be fixed overnight. But there are people out there looking for solutions, and if you've missed any part of this special tonight, you can head to our website, WNBFnews.com, find a link to this full investigation under the WNBF Investigates tab. And you can also join us right now on the WNBF News Facebook page, where we're going to be having a live conversation with an addiction specialist from Trinity Behavioral Care. She's going to be answering your questions right here from the WNBF Newsroom. Hi everyone, Kaitlin Stansell here. You may have noticed I'm not at the WNBF News desk today, and that's because I'm in New York City. Tomorrow, I have the chance to sit down one-on-one with former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who is now 1 year into her role as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. I've been working for almost a year to line this interview up for you guys. I want to ask her what it's been like transitioning from Chief Executive of South Carolina to the world's stage, working here at the United Nations. And I also want to ask her how her work here at the UN impacts us everyday Americans. But this morning, I had the chance to get an inside look at Ambassador Haley in action as she gave a speech during the Security Council meeting here at UN headquarters. Today, she focused on what it would take to bring peace to the Middle East. I sit down with Ambassador Haley tomorrow, one-on-one at noon, and we will have live reports starting at 4 on WNBF News. I'll ask her everything from what this past year has been like to what the future might hold for her and her career. So what a difference a year makes. Being in this role, how did you prepare for it and what has it been like so far?
Lots and lots of reading.
Hey Christelle, we are set up here right outside UN headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. You can see the 193 flags representing those countries that are in the United Nations here behind me. And this is where former South Carolina governor and now U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, calls her workplace right here in Midtown Manhattan. This is a critical job. It comes with a lot of challenges, but probably the hardest of all for Ambassador Haley, she says, is being so far from the state that she calls home, South Carolina.
Looking forward to that for sure. Okay, let's get a little personal. You got an invite to Haley's apartment there in New York City. What's it like seeing her outside of the public spotlight there?
Oh man, first of all, that was really unexpected. We got the email yesterday, just a couple of hours before, and I was telling Drew, my photographer, you're never gonna believe this. We just got invited to go up to Nikki Haley's home here in New York City. Traditionally, the U.S. ambassador was staying in the Waldorf Astoria, but actually the Chinese bought that building, so they're renting a new building that is just a couple of blocks here from the UN headquarters in New York City. It was so awesome to interact with her in that way, you know, outside of the cameras and the microphones, and she is still just so genuine and heartfelt. And of course, we talked to her a lot about South Carolina and how much she misses it. And something that I noticed is she had a palmetto tree necklace right next to her heart, and she says she wears it every day to remember the Palmetto State.
Just into our newsroom, we have a very special surprise for a young girl who had the strength and courage to speak up about an issue impacting our local schools. We're talking about bullying. The National Be a Friend project of See the Wish has chosen Emma Gibbs as their next recipient of Friend Mail. Listen to the organizer talk about this special delivery.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Young, and I'm the co-founder and director of the Be a Friend project.
So we have your friend mail. And we wanted to surprise you with it when you came here today. People saw this story, they reacted to it, and they, you know, you're not the only kid going through this, and I think that that's what this project really wanted to show you. 1,049 letters from kids all over the country. That's because of you.
For the past month, Audrey Bisk and I have been a part of a group of Myrtle Beach citizens who got an inside look at the FBI's role in our community in a very hands-on way.
Put your hands up!
It was all a simulation, kind of like a video game. But one of the most eye-opening experiences I had with the FBI Citizens Academy, it gave me a small glimpse of the stress that our law enforcement officers are under in that kind of situation when they have to make that split-second decision to pull the trigger of their gun. Former South Carolina Representative Robin Talon Jr. last served in Congress in 1993. But 25 years since he last held office, his campaign account is still thriving and he's still using that money. With no apparent run for office in his near future, Talon has paid for computers with this cash. According to campaign finance reports, he has also reimbursed himself thousands of dollars for unknown reasons, and he has paid a salary to his son. Tonight, a closer look at how the money donated to Talon's run for office a quarter century ago has grown to more than $1 million. And I'm going to tell you what one watchdog group is doing to make sure the Federal Election Commission's rules are clear about what should happen to this money when an office holder or a candidate is done with politics. Just within the last hour, I have been in touch with Talon, and he sent me this statement in response to a list of questions I sent him regarding his campaign account. He said, quote, "I've never used 1 cent of this money for personal use, have given away to charitable causes many thousands of dollars, and have actively managed the investments in this account to increase over $1 million.
WMBF News is the only station bringing you this live coverage of the Wings Over Myrtle Beach air show, and we are so excited to share it with you too.